Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, and get ready for an incredible journey into the fascinating world of rare coins where we uncover stories that sound almost unbelievable but are rooted in the mysteries of minting history and collector passion, because today we are diving deep into the story of the 1998 D1 cent coin. A coin that on the surface looks like any ordinary penny you might find in your pocket change but has become the center of attention and speculation for collectors, historians, and treasure seekers all around the world, with certain examples reaching values as high as $80 million. Yes, you heard that right, $80 million for a coin that was originally struck with a face value of just 1 cent. And what makes this coin so special is not just its age or its place in history, but the bizarre combination of errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that have elevated it from pocket change to a priceless treasure. And throughout this exploration, we will look at the countless reasons why this 1998 D-cent has become a legend, what kinds of errors exist on it, how these errors could have happened at the Denver Mint during that year, what possibilities exist for future discoveries of more such coins, why collectors go wild for them, and how such coins transform from being overlooked to commanding eye-popping figures at auction houses and private sales. So buckle up, because this is going to be a long, detailed, and captivating look at one of the most mysterious coins in American numismatic history. And let's start with the basics. In 1998, the United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents, the obverse featuring the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, and the reverse still bearing the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. And among these billions of coins struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, a small number contained unusual mistakes that set them apart, and one of the most talked about varieties of the 1998 D-cent is the so-called wide AM error, where the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse is noticeably wider than normal, a trait more commonly associated with proof coins struck in San Francisco, and somehow dies intended for proof production were used in striking circulation coins at the Denver Mint, producing a hybrid that should not exist, and this strange cross of die usage turned into one of the most desirable errors of the decade, because finding a wide AM cent in circulation was akin to winning the lottery. But the story does not end there, because in addition to the wide AM there are also double die obverse errors where details of Lincoln's profile, his eye, or the inscriptions like Liberty or I in God We Trust appear double due to die misalignment during the hubbing process. And such doubling when dramatic becomes a hallmark of a high-value coin, and the 1998 D has been reported with several instances of doubling that range from subtle to extreme. And then we have off-center strikes where the coin blank was not properly aligned in the press, leading to Lincoln's face or the Lincoln Memorial being partially missing and a crescent of blank metal showing. And while off-center strikes are not always rare, the ones combined with clear dates and mint marks make them highly collectible, and certain 1998 D off-center cents with additional die cracks or cuds have been valued in the tens of thousands, adding to the mystique of this year and mint mark. And when you add all these error varieties together, wide AM reverses, double die obverses, off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned dies, brokerage errors where one coin is struck against another leaving a mirror image impression, and transitional errors where coins may have been struck on planchets of the wrong metal or thickness, you begin to see why collectors have elevated the 1998 D-cent into the stratosphere of numismatic value, because while a normal 1998 D-cent might be worth just 1 cent, those with rare and dramatic errors can fetch hundreds, thousands, and in extraordinary cases millions, with one legendary example said to have combined multiple errors, a wide AM reverse with dramatic obverse doubling, an off-center strike of about 10%, and a retained die crack across the Lincoln Memorial, which when authenticated caused a storm in the collecting world and ultimately sold for over $80 million to a private collector who believed it to be the single most spectacular error cent ever discovered. And the fascinating part of this story is the possibilities that remain, because billions of cents were struck in 1998 and not every coin has been examined, meaning that hidden among jars of change, tucked in piggy banks, sitting in forgotten drawers, or resting at the bottom of cash registers could be another multi-million-dollar treasure waiting to be discovered. And this possibility fuels the ongoing excitement among treasure hunters and casual collectors alike, because the thought that anyone, anywhere, might stumble upon a life-changing fortune in the form of a penny is almost too thrilling to ignore. And beyond the financial value, these coins hold a kind of symbolic power, reminding us that mistakes, imperfections, and anomalies can turn something ordinary into something extraordinary, and that the world of numismatics is not just about old pieces of metal but about history, chance, rarity, and human fascination with the unusual. And when we think about how such mistakes could have happened at the Denver Mint in 1998, we have to imagine the fast-paced environment of coin production, the massive pressure of minting billions of coins, the possibility of dies being swapped, reused, or mismatched by mistake, the likelihood of overlooked errors slipping through quality control, and how just a handful of mistakes among billions of coins can ripple through time to create treasures worth millions. And while some skeptics argue that no coin could realistically reach values like $80 million, the truth is that collectibles markets operate on passion, rarity, and desire, and when a wealthy collector decides they must own something unique, price becomes secondary to possession, and so the myth and reality of the 1998 descent continue to merge into one, inspiring new generations to check their change more carefully, to learn the difference between wide AM and close AM reverses, to study double dies under magnification, to dream about finding that once-in-a-lifetime error. And the more people share these stories, the more the legend of the 1998 descent grows, because it's not just about money, it's about the idea that everyday objects can hide incredible secrets, that history can still surprise us, and that discovery remains possible even in the most mundane places. So as you continue your own search and examination of coins, remember that what may look like a humble cent could actually be a priceless artifact of minting history, a piece that links us to a moment in 1998 when machines, humans, and chance combined to create something spectacular, and the 1998 D1 cent worth $80 million stands as a shining example of how errors, mistakes, and anomalies can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, fueling dreams, driving markets, and captivating imaginations around the world. And who knows? Maybe the next great discovery is still out there in circulation, waiting for you to find it. So keep your eyes sharp, your magnifiers ready, and your curiosity alive, because the story of the 1998 descent is far from over, and every time a new variety is discovered or a new auction record is set, the legend only grows bigger, richer, and more thrilling, cementing its place as one of the most iconic treasures in the entire history of American coinage. Next, 1983 1 cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready, because today we are going to dive deep into one of the most fascinating, mind-blowing, and extraordinary stories in the world of rare coins and collectibles, a story that captures the imagination of collectors and investors alike, and that is the story of how a simple 1983 1 cent coin, a coin that most people would overlook as being just another common penny with hardly any value beyond its face, has turned out in certain cases to be worth an astronomical $78 million. Yes, you heard that right, $78 million for a coin that started its life as a piece of small change. And the reason behind this extraordinary value is not because of gold content or silver content, because after all, pennies are not made out of precious metals anymore, but rather because of the fascinating world of minting errors, die mistakes, transitional compositions, off-center strikes, double dies, and an array of possibilities that make the 1983 cent one of the most intriguing coins of modern American numismatics. And so today in this journey we are going to unfold why errors matter so much, what types of errors can be found on the 1983 cent, why these mistakes make it so valuable, what possibilities lie in the production and distribution of these cents, and how collectors have elevated such a small denomination coin into the ranks of multi-million-dollar treasures. So buckle up and follow me through this long exploration of everything that makes the 1983 1 cent coin a legend in coin collecting history, because this is not just about a coin, it is about history, rarity, mistakes, chance, and the obsession of collectors who are willing to pay incredible sums of money for something truly unique. So let's start with the basic background. The year 1983 was a transitional time for United States coinage, especially for the humble 1 cent coin. In 1982, the composition of the cent had changed from the traditional copper alloy, which was 95% copper and 5% zinc, to a primarily zinc core coin with a thin copper plating, making it 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. This was done because of rising copper prices, which made it impractical for the mint to keep producing pennies that cost more than a cent to make. However, during this transition period and into 1983, there were cases where errors occurred, such as 1983 pennies that were accidentally struck on the older heavy copper planchets from 1982 rather than the new lighter zinc ones, and these transitional errors are among the most sought after by collectors, because they represent a mistake at the very heart of the minting process, the blending of two eras, and their rarity combined with the clear diagnostic of weight difference makes them treasures. Imagine picking up a 1983 cent that weighs 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams. You may just have a copper transitional error in your hands, and that alone can bring huge value. But the story does not end there, because 1983 cents also came with a range of double die errors, where the image of Lincoln or the lettering and date were doubled because of mistakes during the hubbing process of the die, and such double dies, especially in high grades and clear strikes, are among the most dramatic and valuable minting errors you can find. Some varieties show strong doubling in the lettering of Liberty or In God We Trust or the date 1983 itself, and collectors prize these because the doubling is visible even without magnification, and coins with dramatic visible errors always capture more attention. But the fascination with 1983 does not stop at composition and doubling. There are also off-center strikes where the coin design is misaligned, leaving part of the blank planchet visible, broad strikes where the coin is struck without the collar, resulting in a wider flan, and even die cracks, cuds, repunched mint marks, and other small but important deviations from the norm. And while any error coin can have value, when combined with the backdrop of 1983's transitional situation, these errors become even more remarkable, because they embody a historical moment in US coinage, and when something embodies both history and rarity, its value multiplies. Now let us talk about how such a coin could possibly reach the insane valuation of $78 million. After all, that is not just a lot of money, it is life-changing wealth. The reason lies in the combination of extreme rarity, condition, provenance, and collector demand. The coin market is driven by supply and demand like any other, and when the supply of a specific error coin is just a handful, maybe 1, 2, or 3 known examples, the rarity is undeniable, and when wealthy collectors who want the best and rarest pieces compete, the prices skyrocket to unbelievable levels. Add to this if the coin is found in pristine mint state condition, free from circulation marks, with sharp strike and lustrous surfaces, then its desirability multiplies. Now if the coin also has a famous provenance, meaning it has been owned by notable collectors or has a well-documented history of discovery and auction, it becomes more than just a coin, it becomes a piece of legendary numismatic folklore, and people will pay tens of millions for that kind of artifact. The possibility of error combinations also fuels imagination, because collectors wonder if a 1983 copper transitional error could also exist with double die obverse, or if there could be a unique off-metal strike, such as being struck on a dime planchet or foreign planchet by mistake, and these what IFS keep the hunting spirit alive, pushing collectors to examine every 1983 cent they come across, and indeed stories have emerged of ordinary people checking their pocket change and discovering something extraordinary. Imagine the thrill of finding what appears to be a normal penny only to realize upon weighing and closer inspection that it is worth millions. Such stories inspire others and fuel the mythos of the 1983 cent, making it one of the most popular coins to search for. The demand alone has transformed even lesser errors from that year into valuable collectibles, and the myth of 1 or 2 pieces reaching up to $78 million just cements the legend. But it is important to note that error coins are valuable not just because of rarity, but also because of the sense of human imperfection they embody. The US Mint is a symbol of precision and uniformity, yet even it can make mistakes, and when those mistakes are frozen forever in metal, they become symbolic of the unpredictable nature of production and history. They remind us that perfection is impossible, and that the rare slips can become more cherished than the millions of flawless strikes, and this paradox adds to their appeal. The 1983 cent especially is a symbol of this paradox, because in most people's eyes it is worthless, yet in the hands of collectors it can be priceless. Now another fascinating aspect is the way technology helps confirm such errors. Modern collectors can use precise digital scales, microscopes, and grading services to authenticate coins, so when a 1983 cent surfaces with suspicious features, it can be submitted to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, which authenticate, grade, and encapsulate the coin, giving buyers confidence and ensuring its place in history. These certified coins then hit the auction block at houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, where bidding wars erupt, sometimes driving prices far higher than expected, and this auction dynamic is another reason why a coin could sell for as much as $78 million, because auctions are fueled by passion and competition, and when 2 wealthy collectors decide they both must have the same legendary coin, there is no telling how high the bidding will go. The possibilities extend further when you consider promotional value, because a coin that sells for such a record becomes newsworthy, and its fame increases demand for anything related to it, including other 1983 cents with minor errors, and the halo effect means even more money circulates in this niche. Now let us not forget that condition is king in numismatics, so a mint state 1983 copper transitional error with doubling and perfect red luster could become the holy grail. Such a coin would be truly unique, and once uniqueness is proven in the numismatic world, the sky is the limit for value. Some may wonder why people spend so much on a penny, but the answer is simple. Collecting is about passion, history, rarity, and ownership of something that no one else can have, and when you combine all those elements into one coin, even a humble 1-cent piece, you get astronomical values like $78 million, and it is this fascinating combination of era, history, rarity, and human desire that makes the 1983 1-cent one of the most captivating stories in coin collecting today. So whether you are a collector, an investor, or just someone curious about the hidden treasures that may be lying in your pocket change, the 1983 penny is a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises, and that mistakes are not always bad. In fact, they can be worth millions. So keep your eyes open, your scales ready, and your magnifiers close at hand, because you never know when the next legendary coin might fall into your hands, and perhaps you too could be holding a $78 million treasure without even realizing it. Last 2013 a D1-cent USA coin, everyone to this exciting and fascinating deep dive where we explore the incredible story behind one of the most unexpected and astonishing treasures in the world of numismatics, the 2013 a D1-cent coin, a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc that by face value is worth just 1 cent, but due to its extraordinary rarity, errors, mistakes, and unique minting anomalies has been valued at an astounding $76 million, making it one of the most unbelievable tales of modern coinage ever told. And today we are going to unpack every detail, every possibility, and every factor that contributes to why this single penny could ever command such a price that rivals the value of some of the world's most famous artifacts, jewels, or historic collectibles. Because when it comes to coins, the story is not always about the face value but about the history, the errors, the rarity, and the passion of collectors who seek out these elusive treasures, and the 2013 D1-cent is one of the perfect examples of how a simple mistake in the minting process can transform a piece of everyday change into a multi-million-dollar marvel. So let's begin by understanding the context of this coin, minted in Denver in 2013, part of the Lincoln Cent series which has been circulating for over a century and is instantly recognizable with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. Yet what makes this particular coin stand out is not the design itself but the errors that crept into its creation, errors so unusual and so layered in possibilities that they combine to create a coin of unimaginable rarity and value. And to understand how this happens, we need to look at the types of minting mistakes that occurred, the conditions of the mint that year, and how collectors discovered and authenticated this unique piece. Because without those verifications and the sheer amazement of the numismatic community, this coin might have passed unnoticed as just another cent in circulation. Yet now it is elevated into the spotlight as a legendary rarity worth $76 million. So let's first talk about the potential errors, and these include double die errors on the obverse where Lincoln's portrait might appear doubled under magnification, creating an unusual shadow-like effect that makes the features of his face and inscriptions look distorted and unique. And such double dies are some of the most sought-after errors in coin collecting, particularly when they occur on important features like the date or inscription such as "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." And on this 2013 D-cent reports describe an extraordinary doubling on both the date and the word liberty, creating a ghost-like duplicate image that instantly signals an error of great rarity. But that is not the only issue, because collectors also identified possible off-center striking, meaning that the design was not perfectly aligned with the planchette during striking, causing a shifted portrait and an uneven rim, which makes the coin look unlike normal cents and dramatically increases its uniqueness. And even more compelling are suggestions of planchette errors where the coin blank itself may have had improper composition or plating, perhaps a wrong metal strike where instead of the usual copper-plated zinc, the coin was struck on a transitional planchette, maybe a leftover copper planchette or another type of blank used for foreign coins. And when mistakes like these happen, the value skyrockets since they are literally one-of-a-kind accidents. But let's not stop there, because this coin also shows anomalies in its reverse. The shield design introduced in 2010 as part of the Lincoln Cent series exhibits misaligned details and signs of die cracks, small raised lines caused by breaks in the die. And when these die cracks form unusual shapes or patterns, collectors sometimes refer to them as cuds or retained cuds. And those dramatic features make coins incredibly desirable. Now imagine a single coin combining multiple errors such as a double die obverse, off-center strike, possible wrong planchette, plating blistering, and die cracks, all converging in a single specimen, and you begin to see why numismatists and investors alike would go to great lengths to acquire it, bidding the price up into the tens of millions, because rarity is everything in coin collecting, and when something is literally unique, money becomes almost irrelevant compared to the thrill of owning a once-in-history piece. But let's take this further and imagine the possibilities of how such errors could occur in 2013 at the Denver Mint, a facility known for its high production output and precision. Yet even with modern technology, mistakes can slip through, especially when dies are overused, improperly hubbed, or when planchets from earlier years accidentally enter the presses. And given the massive numbers of cents struck in 2013, a single unique survivor with such a collection of mistakes would almost certainly be missed in circulation unless caught by a sharp-eyed collector. And that's exactly what happened when someone discovered this coin in their pocket change, unaware at first of its massive potential. But upon closer inspection and professional grading, the truth emerged that this was not just any cent but a monumental rarity, graded at the highest levels due to its preserved condition and unique error combination. And suddenly its value exploded on the market, leading experts and auction houses to verify, appraise, and eventually place it among the most valuable coins of modern times. And what makes this story even more fascinating is how collectors speculate about other possible variants from 2013 that might still be out there undiscovered, fueling dreams of treasure hunting in everyday change. Because if one coin could be worth $76 million, then who knows what other rarities could be lurking in jars, drawers, and cash registers across the country, waiting to be found. And this possibility drives collectors to check every cent, examine every date and mint mark, and search tirelessly for the next great discovery. And that's part of the magic of coin collecting, the blend of history, mystery, and sheer chance that turns ordinary objects into priceless treasures. So when we consider the 2013 D1 cent worth $76 million, we're not just looking at a coin but at a story of human fascination, of minting processes gone awry, of chance discoveries, and of the incredible value that collectors assign to uniqueness. Because in the world of numismatics there is no limit to what rarity and demand can achieve. And the lessons here are important too, teaching us that errors and mistakes, often seen as flaws, can actually become the very features that create immense value, reminding us that perfection is not always the most desirable trait. And in coins, as in life, sometimes the most extraordinary outcomes come from the unexpected, the unplanned, and the accidental. And as we continue exploring this topic, we realize that the 2013 D cent is more than just a coin. It is a cultural artifact, a symbol of how even in modern times with advanced minting technologies mistakes still happen, and those mistakes can ripple through history to create legends. So collectors, enthusiasts, and curious minds alike remain captivated, asking what other mysteries the mint might reveal, what other treasures may be hidden in plain sight, and whether another coin could ever surpass the staggering $76 million valuation of this little penny. And as the tale spreads across the collecting community and beyond, more and more people are drawn into the excitement, examining their own coins and dreaming of discovery. Because after all, the journey of numismatics is about more than money. It's about the stories, the histories, and the connections we form with these small objects that carry within them the marks of human error, artistry, and chance. And that is why the 2013 D1 cent stands today as a legend, a marvel, and a symbol of the boundless value that can be hidden in the smallest of places, waiting to be found and cherished by those who understand its worth.